I want to thank Miss Acevedo. You know, I had been a coordinator like 10 years ago, and I know it's a very, very challenging job. And there's so much involved with certification, with tutors, with the day-to-day, and with running the club. And the clubs are behind the scenes doing really a lot of the planning and organizing for AVID. And again, everything seems more difficult since we returned from COVID. It has been tougher. We have been more tired. And so we thank them. Congratulations to the seniors and cabinets. But really, we wouldn't be anything with a good organized leader. And we really appreciate Ms. Acevedo and her work. Before I go on to Mr. Frazer, I just want to remind the seniors, you know, there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. So I encourage you, now that we're kind of winding down, to make it a little bit more about others for a while and really appreciate your parents and appreciate the teachers, and express to them and let them know how they've really affected you and influenced you, because I do know that this is just such an important journey that takes a lot of people, counselors and staff and administration, coaches as well. So, you know, don't forget to say that thank you to them. I have a favorite Frazer moment before I start my little speech. My favorite Frazer moment is every day. It really is. This is very hard for me in a way, because I look ahead and I can't imagine what it would be like to not have Mr. Frazer in our school anymore. I had the luck of starting in 2001, and fate put me next door to Mr. Frazer in D7. He was in D7, I was in D8. And being able to talk to him, joke with him, and just seeing how much he cares, it has really been a positive influence for me. So I think every day we get to talk and see each other. It really is a good moment. I know that he's retiring, and I figured since he's leaving this job, he would need a letter of recommendation, just in case he needed another job. And you know, you never know what happens. And so this is my letter of recommendation. To whom it may concern. This recommendation is for Peter Frazer. Mr. Frazer has a unique set of skills which he has shared with Montebello High School or Montebello Unified for 37 years. He's a caring person first and a teacher second. While you might know him through mathematics or as an AVID teacher, as part of the AMP program and having started that, or just walking around campus, what you can count on every day is a cheerful attitude, someone who cares about you and your future and your day, and a dad joke. Like, why did the bike fall over? It was too tired. A bike has 2 tires. And he often has to explain it to us to make a couple more people chuckle. Having started his career at Macy's as a PE teacher, he took inspiration from a teacher he had in school who was supportive, caring, and who helped him at a critical time in school when his own father had passed away. Fortunately, Mr. Frazer was laid off from Macy due to budget cuts. Fortunately for us, because it guided his path to Montebello High School, where he has been a staple of our community. He went from teaching PE to teaching mathematics. He's been a staple of our community, helping students and coworkers be better people, and sometimes just helping us get through the day, a tough day. In fact, as a new teacher, he shared with me a valuable lesson. Here's the secret. His students might not get all his jokes, but they're for him, not for the students, in order to help him get through the day and have a good attitude, have a good time. He shared that it's very important for him, for his students to feel welcome and to have at least a little bit of a good time when they're in his class. Frazer has enjoyed being involved and helping his community, whether it was getting graduation moved to ELAC on the safety committee, or working in other groups and committees, mentoring new teachers. He always brought his sense of care, respect, logic, and a lively personality to the foreground. During his breaks, like nutrition and lunch, you would often catch Mr. Frazer walking around campus and connecting with students, other teachers, secretaries, staff, attendance people. Really, sometimes I wondered if he was running for public office. Until we went digital, I actually had got to enjoy the surprise Frazer would have when he would open the attendance windows and pop his head in to put his attendance in before we did it digitally. And he would just do that to say hello to the attendance ladies who would laugh. In fact, I ended up trying it once, and they thought it was Frazer, and they tried to close it on me, and it was kind of scary. Yeah, I didn't do that again. For some, we have to work on connecting with others. For some of us teachers and people, I know I have to work on that. It's been something I've had to learn. But with Frazer, it's a natural-born talent. He could have easily been a politician, like I mentioned, the way he walks around daily like a diplomat, earning votes, but really, again, making people feel valued and making people feel like they matter. As a teacher, I want to be successful because I want others to see the power of education, the power to transform their lives and also their community and the lives around them. So wanting to be a better teacher, I've watched Mr. Frazer and I've learned from him throughout the years. Mr. Frazer does not settle. Every single year he tries and creates new lessons. He's not one of those teachers who just makes photocopies of the thing the year before. At the same time, he's always trying to connect, trying to give life lessons. And I know we sometimes say that it's his jokes we'll remember him by, but we all know that it's way, way more than that. It's more than the dad jokes. I guess now they're granddad jokes. He's a great grandfather, not a great grandfather, but a very wonderful grandfather. He always cared enough to do his best, again, every year. And that's something that really has impacted me as a teacher, to really try to find new things to reach kids every year and not just reuse the things that may not have worked the year before. Mr. Frazer makes people feel valued. He makes people feel heard, and he makes people feel loved. One powerful thing I learned from him was to start over every day. I've seen him upset with kids, talking to them outside, probably something he wasn't supposed to do, but sometimes making them sit outside for being late. But he always tried to find out why the person was late and get through to them and help them understand that they have to make good choices. But he doesn't hold a grudge against them. That's the thing that I learned about Mr. Frazer, is that the next day, it was like nothing had ever happened. And he always gave students a second and a third and however many chances they needed. Mr. Frazer gives every student the opportunity to be their best and to show their very best. Mr. Frazer is a good role model. As a teacher, a friend, as a colleague or professional, he's committed his career to serving others, to helping them grow, and has encouraged students to never stop learning. And he's also helped them understand they can do much, much more than they thought possible. I know he takes great pleasure in seeing his former students come back and reconnect. And so I really appreciate those of you who could make it here. I kind of had this idea in my mind, like what a great gift it would be for some of the people who he impacted to be able to wish him well and say goodbye from his teaching career. Above all else, Mr. Frazer has taught us that we must value our family, and Avid being one of those families. But after he had grandchildren, I saw him value his own family in a way that most people don't. So whether it's his MHS family, his Avid family, or his actual family, his wife, kids, and grandchildren, he's always showed that family comes first. So, should he need a letter of recommendation for whatever lies ahead, here it is. Peter Frazer is a great teacher and a great person and will leave a lasting legacy. There's only one thing maybe Mr. Frazer is more qualified for than teaching: being a dedicated and loving grandfather, which is where hopefully we're sending him off to that job. So whatever his next job entails, I hope you accept him with my highest recommendation. It's daunting to see what Montebello High School will be like without you, and you will be deeply missed, especially the way you say things a little bit differently, like frustrated. I'm frustrated. Or banana. I don't like bananas. Or watermelon. I want some watermelon. And again, we all know it's not just the jokes. I don't know, I'm a little bit of a hippie, but I see him as this ball of love, just this caring energy that this school gets to just see everywhere he goes, and it just kind of shines out, and we're gonna miss that, and I know it never can be replaced. In order to honor him, we wanted to give him a gift, and although we'd love to give him hundreds of bottles of wine to retire with. We thought we would do something a little bit more meaningful. So we raised money for a gift for Mr. Frazer. And that gift was to honor him and his family with a scholarship. So many former students and some teachers contributed to creating a scholarship, and we were able to raise enough to give a scholarship for the next 4 years. So his students are going to be able, until his current freshmen graduate, they're going to be able to be recognized and to be able to apply for or receive an award. Very quickly, those who participated and contributed were Gia Duong, Jesus Reyes, Emily Castro, Haiti Arias, Carmen Velasquez, my family, Miss Acevedo, Fernanda Sanchez, Jaylene Vallejo, Samantha Reyes, Katie Cow, Cecilia Quesada and Edgar, Marissa Arvizu, Rebecca Reyes, Katie Giddes Rabongo, the Brambila family, Stephanie Sanchez and her sister, but also there are some others that we just haven't gotten it yet, but they've promised some as well. So we'd like to introduce Mr. Frazer. He got very into this process of choosing a student, and he'll explain how he decided to choose this scholarship. So we're gonna miss you. Yes, I will not sing. We're gonna miss you when you're gone.
Thank you.
When you leave, we have one more thing to present to you.
Okay, thank you. Wow, I was starting to get a little teary-eyed over there. I always tell my students as ninth graders, I said, and Mr. Dasyuk is also making a little bit of a career change because he's moving to be math teaching full time. He's taught math and Avid, but this next year it'll be fully Avid math. So he'll still see the Avid students, but not as an Avid elective teacher. And I always tell my students in ninth grade, when they would go on to him as a 10th grader, that you'll never have a more caring teacher than Mr. Dasyuk. And that's absolutely true because, you know, yeah, I tell my jokes and people laugh, but Mr. Dasyuk, he gets to know every student that he has. And I'm sure everybody here who has had Mr. Dasyuk can attest to exactly that. I mean, he spends his whole year as a teacher just getting to know all his students, and that's something that's just wonderful. So John, congratulations on that. You know, there have been a few things in life that have changed my paths. And, you know, it's funny how life has that effect on you. I mean, you know, and I'll get into it later about the scholarship and why I chose the person I did. But, you know, I wasn't a good student in high school. My father passed away when I was young, and it was a tough transition through high school. And so I actually, and my kids now, my 3 children now laugh and joke about this. I was actually a super senior in high school. So I had to spend another year in high school to be eligible to go to college. And as the path took me, when I went to the college, and it wasn't the college I was going to go to the first year I was a senior. The second year I was a senior, I went to a different college. And that college had a program, a study abroad program, that brought me over to Long Beach State. And at Long Beach State, I met my wife, my future wife, and you know, the rest is history, so they speak. So had I not been a super senior, I would not be here right now and saying thank you to everybody and moving on after 38 years or 37 and a half years in the Montebello School District. So it's funny how paths go that way. To the seniors, and Mr. Dasyuk thanked everybody who contributed to the scholarship. It's an awesome way to say, you know, goodbye and thank you, and I appreciate it. And hopefully after the ceremony's done, we can stand up at the front with all the alumni and take a picture of everybody who's come back to say hi to everybody. To the seniors, one chapter closes and another chapter opens for you guys, and I wish you all the best, and thank you for allowing me to share this moment in time with you guys. And I had a lot of fun in college, so I hope you have a lot of fun in college as well. You know, my fun might have been different to the fun you had, but it it was fun, and but I learned a lot from it, and I grew up a lot when I was there, so it was a good experience for me. To the underclassmen who are here, work hard, work smart, ask questions. I know Mr. Dasiuk's big thing is students need to ask questions. So ask a lot of questions. If you don't know the answer and you can't find the answer yourself, then ask some questions about it. I have a little bit of advice for the seniors after my 38 years of teaching. And I can honestly say I've had fun. I always wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a PE teacher, but I always wanted to be a teacher. And when my path changed again after 5 years at Macy, and I lost my job as a PE teacher because of the cuts, and the vice principal here at the time, Mr. Bob B, called me and said, we need a math teacher at the high school. I said, I don't want to teach math, I want to teach PE. He said, well, if you don't want to teach math, you probably won't have a job. So I said, well, I want to teach math. Yeah. So, one thing about the Frazer moments, I was surprised that nobody said, I really enjoyed your Socratic seminars or your philosophical chairs or how you taught the quadratic formula. It was just all about jokes. I can honestly say that every day I've had some kind of fun. And that's what I set out to do as a teacher. I set out to create relationships with staff, with colleagues, with the students, and a sense of humor I thought was huge in that. So, my advice is find a career that you truly want to enjoy for a number of years, because you'll probably be working 35 to 40 years, so it's always good to have something that you enjoy and you're not counting the days. Make a difference, get involved. Over my time here, I've changed who the groups I've involved with. I wasn't involved with AVID to begin with. I was involved with something called the Career Academy. Then I became involved with AVID and joined the AVID family, and they're a wonderful family to be with. Thank you. And then I was involved with AMP, our academic mentor program, which places seniors and juniors into classes to help the freshmen and sophomores with a transition to high school. So as the years have progressed, I've felt that I've got involved with things that have kept my enthusiasm up. Things have been different. I try different things all the time. And I try to say good morning to as many students as I can, whether I know the students or not. I'm lucky that I'm at the top corner by a stair, so a lot of students walk by me in the morning. I'll just say good morning, just say hi, just to try and create those relationships. And of course, I tell the corny jokes. So to the scholarship, and then I'll have a little joke to finish with. So when they asked me to, and this idea was Mr. Dasiuk's idea, and I thank him for it. I think it's a wonderful idea. And so he said, Miss Acevedo was saying, okay, can you come up with a name for your scholarship? And if you know Miss Acevedo, she asks and she asks and she asks and she asks. So finally, I was under pressure, and I came up with a name for the scholarship. And I'm a big fan of Bruce Springsteen. And one of his songs is Growing Up. So I thought, my wife said, why don't you name a scholarship after one of Bruce Springsteen's songs? So I thought, what a great idea. So this is the Growing Up Scholarship. And so I thought, with me not being the best of students when I was in high school, when I went through the AVID list of seniors, I looked for a student who struggled as a ninth grader and didn't perhaps have the greatest of years as a ninth grader, and perhaps had Mr. Frazer on his case more than he probably should have had Mr. Frazer on his case, and perhaps had his mom on his case more than he probably should have had his mom on his case. But when I was really pleased to see how this student had grown up over the 4 years at Montebello High School, and really pleased to see that this student is going to further his education at UC Merced. So he's still got more growing up to do. But George Andrade, if you come up here and please accept on my behalf and everybody's behalf the Growing Up Award. Growing Up. And you have to listen to Bruce Springsteen. George, congratulations. Good job. There you go. Thank you very much. Good job. So I do have a joke. It wasn't the bicycle joke. Do you know why the person who went to cosmetology school, they failed and did not graduate? You know what they have to do? They have to take some makeup classes. Hello? Hello?
Here's one related. I told my wife her eyebrows were painted on too high. She seemed surprised.
Oh. Yeah, no.
One thing I did learn from Mr. Frazer is actually that saying good morning. And I see students who sometimes feel they just look sad, lost, just in their own thoughts, and it does lift them out of it. And so that's one thing that I've been working on as well that I really appreciate, is that little teeny connection. It really does matter. Before I present Mr. Frazer with a small little, a little thank you, I also wanted to recognize, our other teachers. I know we're making a big deal about Mr. Frazer because he's retiring, but we can't say enough about Mrs. Lee and Miss Ochoa, and just how each of our grade levels is a step to the next level, and they just do so much and care so much. Like I said, I feel very surrounded by caring and loving people. So we're very fortunate to have such a positive team. But we just wanted to honor Mr. Frazer with a little,
Oh, geez.
I think some British tea and some crackers. All sorts of British
stuff.
snacks.
Thank you.
And we also have your letter of,
A letter of recommendation.
in case you do need that letter of recommendation, you can give it to them framed, and hopefully you get the job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.